Lace up your skates, fasten your chin strap, hit the ice, drop the puck. The Johnstown Tomahawks present Hawkey Central. Now here's your host, Troy Roberts. Welcome in, Johnstown Tomahawk fans. Hope everybody had a great week. We have another great show in store for you today. Coach Mike Letizia will be joining me shortly. We also have a special guest, Donovan Ott. Will be making a presence on the show today. And as always, at the end of the show, we'll talk to Communications Manager Mike Gosnell about some upcoming promotions. And it's going to be a great week for Tomahawk hockey. Friday night, the home opener at the newly renovated War Memorial. Going to talk to Mike about that, the special promotion going on for Veterans Day, and how all of you can come down and enjoy some Johnstown Tomahawk hockey. Just to recap before I bring Coach on the show, the weekend started off on a very high note, a 5-3 win on Friday night over the New Jersey Titans, but then Saturday and Sunday dropped the pair. Lost 6-1 on Saturday, lost 7-3 on Sunday, but now they come back and they get to play at home on Friday night. We're going to talk about that. Some bright spots on the weekend, though. The three goaltenders, each of them got a game. Britt League had a chance to play, Vinny Purpura had a chance to play, and then, of course, Drew Hott. Finished up the weekend series. I'm going to talk to Coach about all three of those goaltenders and how they played over the weekend. So, without further ado, it is time to welcome in Coach Mike Letizia.
Coach, it was a little bit of a rough weekend. Not what we really thought going out to New Jersey for a three-game stand, and the results weren't quite where you wanted them to be over the weekend. You started the weekend off great, 5-3 victory on Friday. But then on Saturday and Sunday, dropped 6-1, 7-3 decisions. You got 2 points on the road trip, still remain in second place. New Jersey didn't quite catch you, even by winning 2 of 3. It's always tough to go on the road. We talked about it last week. New Jersey's a good team, but I'm sure the outcome was not where you wanted it to be, and we're going to talk about these games here in a little bit. And, a common theme that we've also talked about, I would say came back kind of haunted you a little bit over the weekend. But, Coach, when you look at the weekend, 1-2 over the weekend, got 2 points. What was the overall assessment after you had a chance to sit back, take a little time away from the ice, on Monday? What was your assessment of the weekend?
It was obviously disappointing. We had a good stretch there to start, and going into the weekend, we knew we had the big 3 games, the team that was behind us, and we got the win on Friday night. I thought we played okay. We had a couple moments of just road legs, things like that, and we ultimately had a lot of really good moments in the game as well. We had a bounce back the next night, and after a win and come into play, and I think Saturday was was a tough one. I think it was one of those that we hadn't had in a while. We've only had a few losses so far this year, and all of them, we're only by 1 goal. We were pretty much in every game in that one. We were in a little bit of penalty trouble. There's some bounces that just kind of didn't unfortunately go our way, and obviously the end of the score wasn't pretty. And going into Sunday's kind of the same thing. We got in a little bit of penalty trouble. Whether they were right or wrong. Looking back on it, heat of the moment, they're tough to take. Looking back on it, we have to learn from it. It's the only thing we can do. We tightened the gap there a little bit during the game, but unfortunately, the power play goals against just kind of ate us up. And you look at the overall 2 losses, and I think over 75% of the goals against were shorthanded. So obviously it's an area we need to fix. First and foremost, limiting the amount of times we're in the box, and then obviously fixing what we do to prevent the goals from going in, and preventing the momentum swings and the physical, emotional, mental letdown, things like that. So it's definitely a drawing board situation for us. It was our first real weekend. We came out of it disappointed, so to speak, based upon the results. So it's something we have to learn from, and based upon where we were at today in practice, I would say the guys learned from it. They really came to work today, and I was happy to see a small step in the right direction to hopefully fixing the issues from the weekend and heading into next weekend and the home opener. I'm hoping that the guys have a new mindset heading into this week.
Yeah, and I was thinking, I hope it wasn't because you and I started doing this show that all of a sudden you guys started.
Trust me, I was thinking about that. I was about to call and say, hey, you know what? One more of these, and we might be
No, I looked at it, Coach, and I get the press releases, and saw Friday night, hey, off to a great start, and then I saw the two from Saturday and Sunday, and went, man, we were just kind of talking about some of the
last week. You said it was one of our Achilles heels of the penalty kill, so maybe today we'll talk about how great the penalty kill has been, and then we'll put up an O for this weekend if we get shorthanded. But no, like I said, it's throughout the season it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. You obviously want to have a win every single game, but the reality of that is that's very difficult to do in this league. Every game is a battle. Every day is tough. I tell the guys every day there's never an easy day or an easy game in this league, and the minute you do, you'll learn something about yourself. So we have to learn from it. Myself included as a coach, all the way down to the rest of our staff and to the players. We're going to have to learn from it, and just look to get better. That's all you can do. You can't live in the past.
Yeah, I think you hit it right on the head there. And like I said, let's be all positive and talk about what we think will work out well for the home opener. My question to you, Coach, you had talked about mental lapses, and you never want to say that you're looking ahead, and I know these are young guys, but we talked about it last week, and, the amount of road games, and this, going on the road is something that you guys have been doing for a long time. The home opener this Friday, do you think some of those mental lapses may have been because they're just, hey, we've been in this, it's something that we've been through and through, and, you look at things, is that easy to fix, those mental errors? Were they maybe thinking ahead a little bit to the home opener?
You hope not. You know what I mean? We say all the right things in the locker room as far as our preparation going into the weekend. When you look at that aspect of it, as far as, just taking one day at a time and looking at what's in front of you. You like to think it's not the case. We don't really want to make any excuses. It's facts are facts. Like I said, last week we knew we were going on the road. We knew it was the road stretch we were going to start the season with. Could there have been a little bit of fatigue and a little bit of, being a little bit worn down just from being on the road and having to do it as a 3-3. Maybe, but at the same time, I mean, like I said, there's no excuses. And then the boys will never make them. I give them a lot of credit. They were a disappointed group. They have a lot of pride in that locker room, and like I said, we're going to have to learn from it quickly, so we can get better. But like I said, I hope not. I think that they weren't looking ahead. You never know. It could be natural, but at the same time, I wouldn't look at that as an excuse, to be honest.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, though. Let's look at a bright spot on Friday night, Coach. Britt League was in the goal, and, it looks like, and again, I wasn't there, you were there, but, he had a 14-save win, moved his record to 4-0. You guys started off the weekend great with that 5-3 victory. So what can you tell me about the play of Britt League on Friday night? It looked like he had a pretty solid game from a fan looking on paper. What did you like Friday night about what he brought in between the pipes?
Yeah, and I think, just looking at some of the box scores, I think there was definitely Indiana correcting that. He had more than 14 saves. We obviously would have loved to only give it that few shots, but to Britt's credit, he saw a little bit more action than that. He was solid, just based upon the way our schedule is lined up, and having our three goalies. It's been a few games here since Britt was in the net, but he's a great kid, a great battler. He competes every day in practice. We looked at the weekend and said, hey, we have 3 and 3. We have all three deserving goalies. Let's give them all a game, just based upon a couple different scenarios. We gave Britt the first night. He answered the bell very well. I thought he made some really big saves in any of the moments that we were out of character and under duress a little bit. He made some big saves, and like we asked him to do, he gives us a chance to win. And Britt's an extremely young kid, and he's born in 1999. You know what I mean? He's young, but he has the kind of the coolness of an older veteran, which I like about him. He competes. He's athletic. He's a good kid. So it didn't surprise me at all. He's been very strong for us throughout the year, and as our other guys have. And, unfortunately, the next 2 days for those two other guys, you give them less penalty kills against, I think it's a little different. You know what I mean? A team can execute. They make a couple nice plays, a couple nice shots, and unfortunately, on the box score and on paper for the goaltenders doesn't look great. You know what I mean? But, when you're inside the glass, you're at the game, there's some different situations. So, no, but going back to Britt, did a nice job all year. Really proud of him.
Yeah, you had mentioned on the show last week how you like these young guys and being able to get them in to play. And so we'll move over to Vinny's performance on Saturday, even though in a loss. You like these young guys. And so when you look at Vinny's chance to play this weekend, what can you tell us about his opportunity, even though the loss was a 6-1 game? What were the good things that you saw from Vinny while he had a chance on the ice?
Yeah, like I say, you look back at it, we let up 6 goals. I think there was 5 on the power play or 4, whatever, ended up being off the top of my head, So, again, you're already at a disadvantage there. Vinny's been good for us all year. I think any goalie would tell you they could save every shot. You know what I mean? So, looking back at it, maybe he'll say, I could have this one, I could have that one. But, he was under some different duress, like we all were, given those situations that we shot ourselves in the foot with and put ourselves in those situations. Like I said before, I don't always agree with what's called on the ice, but at the end of the day, it's what the call is, and you have to live with it and try to, overcome it. So, like I said, Vinny is a good goaltender. Again, the numbers may have been a little bit higher than we wanted to across the board, himself as an individual as well as us as a team. But again, come back to work. Frank, our goalie coach, is here, looking at tape and making any adjustments that maybe it was a technical thing. If it wasn't, it was just, we look at everything and it's a process, and we're just gonna to improve. It's a wake up call for everybody, which, at the end of the day, sometimes you can build from.
Yeah, and let's stay on that Saturday game, Coach. A 6-1 defeat. Like you said, a couple power play goals by New Jersey, and that really can change the momentum, give them all the momentum, especially at home. Offensively, though, one goal from this team that we talked about that is used to scoring some goals, and hopefully, again, don't hold that against me, Coach. We talked about it last week. I don't want to be the Johnstown jinx by any means. But what happened in that game? One goal. From your standpoint as a coach, was it lack of opportunities? Did New Jersey have a good defensive scheme going on? Was it great goaltending by New Jersey? Offensively, one goal on Saturday. What was the outcome of only having one goal?
I think it was a variety of things, to be honest. You had a new goaltender in there on Saturday night, and I played Sunday as well. A little different look compared to the day before. We did have a couple of good chances, a couple posts that came in, a couple nice saves. Just looking at that regard, I think our shot selection was a little bit off. We tried to discuss that and talk to the guys about it and making some adjustments. The goaltender from New Jersey was a little undersized, you know what I mean? And so I don't know if our thought process was, hey, everything's going to be available upstairs. And unfortunately, when we were doing that, we were missing the net, you know what I mean? And then we had to kind of get back to some smarter thought process in our shooting, and so again, it's never going to be perfect. There's some different things we talked about. The other part of it too is, you get frustrated throughout the game for different reasons. You're behind, or you're shorthanded, or you're getting worn out, killing penalties, things like that. So, your chances coming out of that are a little bit dwindled because, your flow of your 5-on-5 play is a little bit hindered. The other thing is sometimes you get down, you get away from things that work sometimes. You maybe get out of character as far as how we want to play. So you had to, we have to get back to that, and and we will. Like I said, it was just it was a tough one, and like I said, coming out of that Saturday game, going to Sunday, it's just kind of a tale of 2 days, and we're going to have to learn from it.
Yeah, and I think you had brought up earlier, Coach, when you're on the penalty kill, and you then can't get into that offensive flow.
Yep.
You look at that game on Saturday, and I see the one goal, and then I'm reading, power play goal allowed. Offensively, when you're playing shorthanded, of course, it's a lot harder to score goals when you're playing on the defensive side. But you had also brought up last week, and I think it's an interesting point, and we can revisit it for the fans listening in. When you're on the power play like that, or on the penalty kill, it can really be a major blow to the flow of your offensive style. And if you want to explain that again for the fans, when you're killing penalties, it's really hard to get into an offensive flow during the game, correct?
Absolutely. I made a statement numerous times, and knock on wood, we've seen a little bit of success from our power play this year. But I'd love to play the games 5-on-5 as much as possible. You know what I mean? Like, I love the power plays, I love things like that. But 5-on-5, and you get a good line rotation going. You get to mix and match, or use guys correctly, and not have to. Maybe your lines get mixed up because of the penalty kill, because you only get obviously 2 forwards on the ice, or whatever situation may be, or if it's a 5-on-3 again. Different guys are in the penalty box, different guys are getting more tired. Different guys maybe get used a little bit longer in certain situations. Right or wrong. So a couple of guys may sit on the bench a little bit longer than normal with their legs. There's just so many factors, that go into it that, like I said, it's penalty killing is a thankless job. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where it's very difficult. It takes a lot to get it done. It's not only systems, it's different little characteristics, that work in your favor. Like I said, when you're on it too many times, you can't keep going to the well over and over and hope that your PK bails you out. He can bail you out a couple times, but you do it enough, there's going to be some exposure there. And unfortunately, I think that bit us in the butt a little bit. And top to bottom, starting with me, and through on down to the guys, it's an area we have to fix. If we want to have the success we want to have, and it just this one, like I said, it just was a little bit more magnified, obviously, because of the unfortunate outcomes of the 2 days, and then credit to New Jersey. Hey, you know what? They got the chances and they were able to score on them, so it's good for them as well. But like I said, it was a big part of the game, and you hate to have it have that much of an impact on the outcome.
Yeah, and again, we won't have to repeat ourselves here, but on Sunday, it seemed like the same old story. You're on the PK a lot. They had some opportunities against Drew Ott. And, offensively, you guys still put 3 in the net. I had asked you before the show, the 7 goals, the 7-3 score, didn't really seem like that was, a total domination. It looked like some power play goals. You guys cut into the lead in the third period. It seemed like they got some late goals on you. So, a 7-3 victory, that game was a lot closer than the score, correct, Coach?
Yeah, I would say it was. At the end of the day, it's still a loss, whether you lose by 1 or lose by, 10, they all taste the same. But, yeah, I would say it was a little bit closer. Again, it was hard for us to get anything going. We were shorthanded a lot. And, at the end of the day, we had power plays as well. So, it was just a lot of special teams, too much for my liking, just in the sense of the flow of the game. And, not just in a Johnstown Tomahawks game, but probably any hockey game. You want to see the game played in its truest form, and as much as you possibly can, where everything's kind of flowing and going, and you see a lot of skill and you see a lot of speed and a lot of tenacity and physical play, and nice passing and good shots and a lot of skill being on display. And while the skill can be on display on the power play, it's a little bit slowed down. And like I said, so unfortunately, we cut the lead there. We tied up the game, had the momentum, but then just kind of. But again, you go back to it, look at it. Were all the calls ones we agree with? Probably not. But at the end of the day, they were made. And that's just the way it is. And you got to learn from it. We got to find a way to not put ourselves in those positions as much as we possibly can. I don't want talk too much about it. I feel like it's a broken record, but when we are going to obviously make an effort to fix, and it's no better time than against Aston this weekend.
Yeah, and like you said, Coach, not gonna harp on it. We talked about it last week. Penalty minutes, being on the penalty kill, things that are there. Got to improve on it. I will say this, as I researched for the show, penalty minutes keep climbing and climbing for you guys. And when you look at it, like you said, I think this team, and you mentioned 5-on-5 hockey. Your power play is very good. You're converting 27% on the power play. 5-on-5, you do a lot of good things. Really, it's the thing we've talked about. And we're not going to sit and harp on it. It's just a penalty kill and a lot of penalty minutes accumulating for the Tomahawks. So, like you said, you just work on it, you get better. And now you're heading home. And so let's look forward to the weekend. I mean, it's the home opener. That place is going to be rocking on Friday night. The guys get to finally play at home, and it's a huge 2-game series against Aston. And this is going to be, in my mind, you're at home against a very good team. So give me the preview for Friday night. Not only the home opener, but against the Rebels who you're playing. What is the game plan for this weekend?
They're probably a surface now as our biggest rival, I would say. Their first year in the new East Division of last season. They relocated from Rio Grande Valley, Texas, and became probably our most heated rival. Last year we played them 21 times if you count the 2 exhibition games. The regular season game 16 times, and the playoffs. So we see somebody that many times. I mean, some teams you don't see that many times in 3 seasons, let alone in 1. So we obviously had some build up with them. We both had, some new guys. We have some familiar faces that we've seen last year. We were out there last weekend and split with them. They compete very hard. They're a well-coached team. They compete very hard. They play a heavy game. They have some skill. They have a very good goaltender. So it's going to be a battle, and it's one that we have to, make sure we're matching their intensity, matching their compete level. Not let the moment of the home opener or the atmosphere get to us too much. Hopefully, it motivates us. We're going to be a little bit nervous. It's natural. There's no team in our division that comes close to the fan, response we have at our games as far as attendance or the fan atmosphere or the experience that the game is, to be honest with you. So, not only for the opposing team where it's a new situation, I think for our own players at home as well, it's going to be something that's going to be new. So we got to keep the moment in check a little bit, try to shake the nerves out early the most we can, just try to play the right way. And to be honest, hey, maybe coming off a tough weekend, is a motivation for us, which could, play into our favor a little bit, hopefully, where we're not just coming off of, a weekend where, hey, we're feeling really good about ourselves, and we're looking, at the games in a different light. Now, hey, we have to get better. We have to motivate ourselves. We have to play a little ticked off, with results we didn't want, and maybe it turns into some motivation from Friday night. In addition to obviously our first home game in almost 3 months, and playing in front of a home crowd and our home ice, and all the other spectacles that will be going on around us. What we have to make sure we focus on is what goes inside the glass on the 200 by 85.
Yeah, and I wanted to bring this up, Coach. You guys have not lost much this year, 13-4, 0-1, and 2 of those losses came this weekend. And so when you look forward, the guys, even though they're coming off those losses, I would imagine as a coaching staff, you never like to lose. I mean, losing games sucks. But as a coaching staff, can you use that weekend series against New Jersey as a building block moving forward into this weekend against Aston?
I think you have to. I think every weekend you have to look at something to get better at, to improve from. If you just kind of stay the same, someone else around you is going to get better. You know what I mean? And like I said, this weekend was an education for us as far as just some different things. We learned a little bit about ourselves. We found out about New Jersey. I feel very confident about our abilities against them, and in regular game situations. Unfortunately, like we talked about earlier, there's some different factors. But regardless, every weekend you try to do something. When you head into that week of practice, you try to build your practices and your ideas and your work with the guys, whether it's your team practices or your individual work with them before or after practice. Try to say, okay, what did we do well? That we need to continue to do well. We need to try to continue to build off of that. But what were the areas for improvement? And like I said, whether it's individual improvements, whether it's team improvements, you have to look at every aspect, and because you got to keep grinding. And it's a long season, and you got to keep grinding. And we do as much as we possibly can on and off the ice, and then some, hopefully, to try to prepare for that. And like I said, we want to take the weekend. Like we do every weekend, say, okay, what can we do now to help ourselves have success in the games coming up? And we definitely got to take some motivation out of a disappointing weekend and turning it around quickly and taking it into the practice this week. Like I said today, I felt it was a step in the right direction. These guys came in; they were ready to work today. They gave it out there, which is a sign to me that they're pretty upset in a good way, to reconcile this and excited as well, for the weekend.
Sure, and as young guys, your pride gets, I guess, a little tarnished when you are having success, and then you go on a weekend trip like you did, and these guys, and part of that credit goes to you, Coach. If they're out working hard, they want to get better. They want to make sure that they're getting better. Two more questions. I just heard the phone beep, and I would imagine that is Donovan calling in. But the refs allow a league low. They've allowed the league low in goals allowed, 31 goals. You guys have a very good, powerful offense with 72 total goals. Something's got to give here. And so when you're looking offensively against a very good defensive team, what are you telling the team on the offensive side? I mean, what are the things that they need to look for against a very good defensive team?
Yeah, I think Aston has a good defensive style. It's a collapsing type of, or not even collapsing, not the word. It's almost a smothering style might be the better word. They want to limit as much time and space from you as possibly can, which I think is kind of the name of the game these days. And obviously a good goaltender. But you have to manufacture offense. It may not be as easy as you think it is, as far as just the open space and making skilled plays. You may have to get a little bit grittier, a little bit dirtier. You got to make sure that first and foremost you're taking care of the play away from the puck, because if you don't do that, we're going to be chasing all night. And if we do that, taking care of our play away from the puck, and we don't have the puck, working our butts off to making sure that we're getting that puck back and getting possession of it. And then when we get in the offensive zone, finding ways to make sure we're breaking through the build-up and getting behind them, forcing them to work a little bit, putting the pressure on them, and then get inside the house, inside the dots, and making sure all the pucks are going to the net. We're getting our bodies to the net. We're grinding it out. We're competing as hard as we possibly can. The game's a battle, no matter who you play. Obviously they've done a nice job with their goals against and things like that. But from our standpoint, we got to play to our strengths a little bit, grind them down. We got to be willing to compete harder than they will, and shoot the puck more. And we get the chance to get the puck on our stick, make sure it's going to the net, make sure it's going to the net with a purpose, in the right areas and the right timing. So we can try to generate as much offense as we possibly can against a difficult team. But like I said, it's we've seen some success in various ways, and we just got to execute.
Hey, Coach, finally, we have the portion of the show where we actually want the fans to be interactive, and we got some interaction this week. And from Coach Robert, he wanted to know what the expectations were of the HBO line, and then how do you plan on utilizing them on the special teams? So if you could answer that for Coach Robert, that would be great.
Yeah, no problem at all. I think the HBO line was the phrase that was, I don't know who came up with that, someone who has some pretty good intelligence from the HBK line last year for the Penguins with Hagelin, Bonino, and Kessel. They came up with our own HBO line with Hunter, Buncis, and Ott. Obviously they're three guys that have had a lot of success this year for us, and seem to make their way on the score sheet quite a bit, which is always encouraging. Right now they're all playing our power play, our top power play unit. So we got to make sure that we continue to find ways to get them success and get them the puck as well as the other guys. Making sure that they're being strong on the puck, they're getting quality shots to the net, they're taking advantage of the opportunities they are getting on the power play. It's a privilege to be there. They all do, competing as hard as they possibly can, and knowing that whether you get one power play or 6 power plays a game, whatever it may be, knowing that you got to have a killer instinct. And all 3 of them are obviously capable of putting up some opportunities for us at different times on the power play. And the penalty kill, we use them as well. We use Phillips and Donovan pretty heavily on our PK. Dalton, we use him as well at different times, depending on the situation of the game. It's one of those things that we're going to look at everything when it comes to penalty kill, obviously top to bottom, to help fix it. You know what I mean? And all 3 of those guys will be a part of hopefully trading on our PK a little bit. But they're on our power play, and so far they've been able to have success. They're 3 skilled guys. They're guys that we want to center things around a little bit. Remembering there's only 1 puck out there, so obviously they're all guys that want to have the puck on their stick. But knock on wood, so far they've been able to distribute it, and take advantage of their chances when we can. So we got to keep that going. Special teams, as we are talking about pretty much this entire show, are a vital part of what's going on. So, we got to make sure that we utilize them on the PP, and then, I know they're going to give us all they got for the PK as well.
Well, Coach, I know that we're welcoming in Donovan Ott today. So, Donovan, I think I heard you join the show. Thanks for joining Coach and I today.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. So, Donovan, we're talking special teams. You're out there on the ice all the time. I know that you're a pretty big component on the power play unit. What do you think has been the success of this power play unit for the Tomahawks that is scoring around 27% of the time on the power play, which is just an amazing percentage of time? That's 1 out of every 4 power plays, being able to put the puck in the net. What do you think the success of your line on the power play has been?
I think it helps a lot that we play together off the power play, so we sort of have a feel for where each other's going to be. And then with Galambos and Bruce on it, we get a lot of good puck movement, and then we just get good shots and capitalize from those.
Yeah, definitely. Coach and I talked about the weekend, and I'm sure as a player, you're looking at it. You've been cruising along all season and winning games. We talked about the 4 losses, 2 of them coming against New Jersey. When you look at the weekend and you look at these losses, then you move forward. Coach said you guys had a great practice. When you look at yourself and you come out of that weekend, what are your thoughts? What are your emotions? And, you're looking forward to practice. How do you get yourself ready again now to prepare for the upcoming weekend?
The good thing about junior hockey is that you're always playing the next weekend, and once you hit practice Tuesday or Monday, it's a fresh start, and you got to learn from your past weekends and build off of that. And I think it's never a good time to lose 2 in a row, but I think it's better to have that early than later on in the season. And we definitely learned from it, and we're just getting ready for practice, and it helps that we're coming into home opener, so something to look forward to.
Yeah, and I know offensively, Donovan, that you're one of the key components on this team. And over the weekend, Coach, I talked to Coach, I'm not sure if you were on the phone at that time, about Saturday's game with only 1 goal, with such a high-powered offense. As a player, when you're out there, what was going on Saturday when you look at that game offensively, scoring 1 goal from yourself? Was it a frustration level? You look at it from the standpoint of you tallied 2 goals, but as a team, 1 goal. Kind of give me the player standpoint on a game where the puck's just not going in the net. What are your thoughts while you're playing?
It's definitely tough, especially when their goalie stood on his head all night, and we were testing him pretty well, and it just gets frustrating because then you start to overthink things. You try and make that perfect shot instead of just throwing it on net and seeing what happens, and I think that's what we sort of got into. We tried to look for that perfect shot or the extra pass at times, and I think that's what it comes down to when the goaltender's playing well.
Yeah, it's definitely, and I know that when you look at this game, there's a lot of things that go on off the puck. But when you said, I think you can get into a situation where you do overthink a little bit, and maybe you're pressing a little bit too hard. And like I was talking with Coach, even though it was a 6-1 loss and a 7-3 loss, these games after talking to Coach, we're probably a little bit closer than the score says. A loss is a loss. But when you're out there playing and you're trying to get into an offensive flow, I already asked Coach this question. As a player, though, when you're having to kill penalties or go on the power play and special teams, how hard is it for a player to get into that offensive rhythm when you're either killing penalties or playing special teams and not being able to get into the consistent line changes that you're used to?
It's definitely tough, especially for the guys that aren't on the power play all the time. And killing penalties, it takes a lot out of you mentally because it's just a different style of play. And when you're rolling 4 lines, things just seem to happen a lot easier, and you get your legs going, and everybody's involved, and it's just a lot easier to play that way, even strength.
Yeah, and even strength, I'm a hockey guy. Coach, you had mentioned it. You like the special teams. I like the 5-on-5 play. You get to really see the flow of the game. But, Donovan, switching over, a lot of points this season for you. What do you attribute the offensive success to personally? I mean, you're a guy that both scores goals, and you're also a guy that is not afraid to, push the puck aside and let your teammates get a couple of goals also. What do you attribute that success to?
I think it's both of my line mates, Dalton and Phil. They're both great without the puck and with the puck, and it's just finding that soft area that guys aren't at for them to get you the puck, or vice versa, and they both can do it well. And I think our size helps us a lot because we can just work teams down low for a couple of shifts, and next time we're on the ice, they're going to be thinking about that in the back of their head, like, oh crap, we've got their first line again, and they sort of back up after a couple of shifts, and that's when we really capitalize.
So I'm going to throw the question out to you, Donovan, that Coach Robert asked, and Coach had answered. As a player, you look at your line with Dalton on there and Phil on there. This is a line that produces a ton of points. I mean, how confident are you guys when you get on that line change that you're just going to go out and score goals?
I think now we're pretty confident that the team expects us to have a couple goals or a couple assists each night, and it's nice being relied on like that. But at the same time, we have a lot of contribution from our other lines, so I think we're a pretty deep team offensively, so that helps a lot, that all the weight isn't on our shoulders all the time.
Yeah, certainly. You don't want to put all your eggs into one basket and into one line. And, you look at this team top to bottom, and I think there's a lot of guys that contribute. So I'm going to switch over to you personally, and I like to ask our guests this question. When you look at your game, Donovan, and I'm an opposing coach, what are your strengths? What do you do really well on the ice? And then personally, when you look at your hockey future, what do you think is the one thing that you really need to continue to practice at and get better at?
For my strengths, I'd say my size and my shot. That's the one thing I try to do, is shoot the puck a lot and use my size to my advantage so guys can't take it from me, and that my line mates can have the puck more. And I think the one thing I really need to work on is probably getting a little faster with my first couple of steps and quickness.
And Coach, I do this every week now. I know it's only 2 weeks in, 2 guests, but Coach, got Donovan on the line, and while you're on the line, you look at Donovan as a player, and you look at a guy that's scoring goals, that's dishing the puck off, plays on a very good line with some good line mates. But when you look at Donovan's game, where do you see the biggest contribution to the team? And then as a coach, what are you working on Donovan with for his hockey future?
I think for Donovan, you touched on it earlier. You look at it, it's consistency, you know, and he's a kid that we drafted high. We wanted him here in Johnstown. He wanted to be here in Johnstown. From the day he stepped in, he wasn't part of our team in the past. He had some experience in junior hockey in this league, in another good league, and he's taken a leadership role right out of the gates. Right when he walked in, he's a kid that I think people follow in a good way as far as what he's doing and how his approach is off the ice, as far as preparation and will to win and will to do things the right way. And you know, we talk about his offense, but I'm going to talk about his other side, his play away from the puck. He is a very smart two-way hockey player. He will block shots. He will get pucks out, get pucks in. You know, he plays in the wing, but if you want him to take a face-off, he takes a face-off, kills penalties for us. He does a lot of little things that are so vital to an individual success as well as our team success. He'll play physical. He'll stand up for teammates if he has to. There's so many things, and like you said, obviously his offensive contributions have been outstanding, and they will continue to be because of his approach. But there's so many things as a coach that go into everything. I think Donovan touched on it earlier. He said, you know, there's a deep group here that does a lot of things well. You know, maybe hasn't seen the overall production as the three of them, but I touched on it last week as well about, you know, how many little things are key components to success, and Donovan does all of them very well. And he's a kid that wants to see success for his team first and foremost. I mean, he's a very big team player, and that's why I respect him quite a bit. You know, and I think, you know, for Donovan, it kind of we touched about, you know, it's the preparation that he's putting in, and he's going to, in the work he'll do to get better. You know, he talked about getting a little bit quicker, and as everybody would love to. Donovan's a great size kid, a big boy. You know, so not a little guy that's going to zip around the ice, you know, like a wild man, but he plays a big power forward game. You know what I mean? So as we continue to work and the more reps he gets of working on his speed, and you can see when he's in that rhythm and how much power and speed he possesses. And I think he talked about, you know, the flow of the game. You know, you get in that flow where you're rolling, and it's a little bit easier to play. It's not the shorthand of the power play. The shorthand of the power play. It kind of goes back to that a little bit. And you know, but he's a kid that we've relied on heavily here since we started the season. He's desired that responsibility, and you know, executed it. And just looking forward to seeing him continue to do what he does best. And like I said, we were very happy that he's a Johnstown Tomahawk, that's for sure.
Yeah, so Donovan, you guys have been on the road so much in the first month of the season, and now finally the long-awaited home opener on Friday night. How excited are you to get on the ice in front of the home fans?
Oh, I'm really excited. Just the stories that I've heard about the atmosphere and just the history that Johnstown has hockey-wise, it's going to be an awesome experience to play here in the home opener. And I think it's a weight off the shoulders for the guys. Coming into the year, we knew we had about 2 months on the road, and just that it's finally time to get going at home. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, and, you know, I'm sure the home fans are excited, and all the renovations of War Memorial. I mean, it's going to be a rocking night. You guys are, you know, I keep saying this, a high-powered offense that can put the puck in the net. So it's going to be an exciting night of hockey. You got a big rivalry game going on. So it's going to be exciting, and we're going to talk to Mike Gosnell here in a little bit about getting fans out to that game on Friday night. Donovan, I'm going to end with one question that I now am going to make a staple question on this show every week. And so that is, as a player, would you prefer to have a breakaway goal and go 5-hole on the goalie, or would you prefer to have a one-timer slapped into the back of the net while you're playing? What would be your most exciting goal? One of those two.
Probably the one-timer, because I think that's probably a tougher one to score. So I think that might be more special to me as a player, and I don't see myself getting too many breakaways. So
Well, that goes to what Coach said. So I just have to fill you in, Donovan, so you can, because last week on the show, we had Dalton on, and he said he wanted to go 5-hole on the breakaway on a goalie. So I like that you're a bigger guy, so not too many breakaways. But that powerful, one-timer shot, you got your scoring goals, you're dishing it off. Early season success. I wish you a lot of success for the rest of the season. Thanks for coming on the show, buddy.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, Coach. So another great guest with Donovan. Coach, our time is just about up here. So, again, I hope I'm not the jinx from last week. Don't blame me. But very powerful weekend coming up. And I say that because it is a rival game against Aston Rebels. Coach, I wish you the best of luck this weekend.
I really appreciate it, and look forward to talking to you next week and hopefully a little better result. Otherwise, we're going to have Mike Gosnell take over the show maybe.
Yeah, Mike will be giving me a call saying I'm not allowed to talk to you anymore if the results aren't the same. But, Coach, best of luck to you. We'll talk next week.
Sounds great. Thank you. Have a good one.
Hey, care. Mike, I think you joined a little bit early, so I know, Mike, you're here with me today. How are you doing today, bud?
Oh, I'm doing good. Just getting a little amped up here. We're just 3 days away from our home opener, so it's a very exciting and busy time around here. So let's get to it. I'm excited.
Yeah, so many games on the road. I was talking to Coach about it. Just on the road, and tough weekend out in New Jersey this past weekend. But now it's finally time. The renovations are done. The War Memorial is ready to start rocking on Friday night. Tell the fans how they can get out there and enjoy the game.
Well, Friday night, in coinciding with Veterans Day, we're offering free tickets to veterans and active duty personnel for that game. Their families would have to pay to get in, but it's just our way of saying thank you to all our veterans and active duty military personnel. So that's a great way of coming to the game. You can also, of course, go online, Ticketmaster.com, purchase them online, or call them at 1-800-745-3000, or head down to the War Memorial box office to purchase your tickets. But we're really looking forward to it. We're expecting some good crowds both nights. So just get down to War Memorial, get your tickets now. Don't wait in line. Avoid the lines and get your tickets ahead of time, and we'll see you at the games.
Yeah, Coach, Mike, we talked last week, about the renovations of War Memorial. So not only is it a home opener, but you guys had all these great renovations done to the arena. Can you let the fans know some of the new things that they can expect when they come into the historic War Memorial? Because it is historic, but now you've had some renovations to, maybe bring it up a little bit into, to make it a more fan-friendly place. But what are some of the good renovations that you can let the fans know about without letting the cat out of the bag? Because we need to get them in the arena to see them.
Well,
but what are some of the things they can expect?
Well, most of our renovations this summer were actually stuff that they will not be able to see. We dug up, the War Memorial dug up their floor. They replaced the floor. It was a terrazzo floor, now it's concrete, so that the ice can be up to standard. So fans will notice right away how clean and sharp the ice looks as opposed to maybe a couple years ago. But most of the renovations this year are really ones that the fans may not see, but they'll grow to appreciate because the ice is going to be very good. It's already, we've been receiving a lot of compliments about it. The boys love practicing on it. So that's really what's going to stand out right away. The rest of the renovations, of course, the fans already have seen with Hockeyville winning it a year ago. But like I said before, the renovations this past summer, as to why we were on the road for so long, we had to replace the floor and build brand new ice, and that's one thing the fans I think, are going to enjoy.
Wonderful. So now, Mike, so many games on the road, and now the home schedule starts, and there's more than just the home opener. So let these fans know of some of the upcoming promotions here in the month of November, so these fans can go in and enjoy the boys playing hockey.
Right, and fans know that Saturdays are Faith and Family and Scout Night. They can also bring canned food for donation. They'll receive a souvenir Tomahawks poster. The donations benefit local shelters around the area. And rounding out November, the promotional schedule, we have our Black and Gold Weekend celebrating Pittsburgh sports. Our team's going to be wearing black and gold jerseys. Now, we're going to keep those a secret as far as design so far, but they are very nice. I will say that. Just really a celebration of Pittsburgh sports, Pirates, Steelers, and Penguins, of course, and we want to see all of our Pittsburgh fans come out for that. Show your Pittsburgh Steelers, Penguins, and Pirates pride. That rounds out the promotions for November, and then early in December, Teddy Bear Tots, a very popular promotion here. We're partnering with All for Smiles and Toys for Tots, two local charities that we've partnered with in the past, and of course, everybody knows what Teddy Bear Toss. If you Google Teddy Bear Toss and hockey, you'll see lots of great videos of fans throwing teddy bears onto the ice for donation. That's coming up on Saturday, December 3rd. We take on Northeast at the 7 o'clock face-off.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Mike, you and I have talked about this, and I know this just from living in the area, that the Tomahawks and the community, they go hand in hand. The community really embraces this team, and I really encourage anybody that's not been down, or even if you have been, I mean, it's a great time to go down and see the new team. I think that's one of the interesting things, Mike, about junior hockey is that the faces change, but really the community keeps embracing this team from year to year.
Right, and we've been fortunate now where we have players like Dalton Hunter, who's been here for 3 years. Philip Spoons has been here for 3 years, so they know the community recognizes them, and they help. They're not just leaders on the ice, they help the guys that come in from other places that haven't played here before how to adapt and get used to the community. And regardless of I think who's on our team, everybody knows what they need to do, and it's a great partnership between the community and the Tomahawks, and we're looking forward to another good year in the community.
Yeah, definitely, Mike. Well, our time is up, and another great show today. And like I said earlier, hopefully I wasn't the jinx. We talked about it with Coach, and the penalty kill being the Achilles heel, and, of course, that's what bit him in the butt over the weekend. But we'll get together next Tuesday, and as always, I appreciate you coming on the show, bud.
No problem, and let's go Hawks.
Yeah, let's go Hawks. Talk to you later, Mike.
Thank you, Troy.
All right, Johnstown Tomahawk fans, I want to thank Coach Mike Letizia for coming on the show today, along with Donovan Ott, such a phenomenal guy and player. And then, as always, want to thank Mike Gosnell, Communications Manager, for coming on the show to share some of the upcoming promotions and how you guys can get out to see the games. This is the portion of the show where we talk statistics, and I go over your scoring leaders. No changes at the top. Dalton Hunter, 23 points, added some points over the weekend, now has 11 goals and 12 assists. Donovan Ott follows up with 22 points, 12 goals, 10 assists. He is your team leader in goals scored. Phillips Bunches stays in third with 20 points. He is your team assist leader with 16. Hayden Rowan comes in fourth with 17 points. And then Samuel Solinsky is in fifth place with 15 points. The thing is, though, when you look at it, folks, this team has scoring from top to bottom. Coach talked about it. Donovan talked about it. There are a number of players that contribute. This is your handful of top scorers on your Johnstown Tomahawks. When you look at the goalie stats, again, all three goalies had a chance to play this weekend. Britt League improved his record to 4-0-0-0. He has one shutout, a .920 save percentage, and an amazing 2.70 goals against average. Vinny Purpura had a chance to play on Saturday, had to take one on the chin, lowered his record to 4-2-0-0, has an .897 save percentage and a 2.87 goals against average. Not too shabby for the young guy. And then, of course, Drew Hott, I would guess you would consider him the number one goaltender. He is 5-2-0-1, a .916 save percentage, and 2.58 goals allowed average. That spiked dramatically because of Sunday's game. But these three guys, I think Coach had mentioned it, really likes his goaltending. Three quality goaltenders. That is a great thing to have, especially in junior hockey. When we look at the East Division, coming up Friday, we talked about it with Coach. Big rivalry game, home opener on Friday night against the Aston Rebels, who lead your Eastern Division at 16-3-0-0 and 32 points. Then your Tomahawks are in second place at 13-4-0-1, 27 points. So if they can get these 4 points over the weekend, it'll go a long way to cutting into that 5-point lead that they currently have. plus the Tomahawks have 1 game in hand. In third place, that New Jersey Titan team that took 2 out of 3 against your Tomahawks, they now have cut into the lead. They're only 2 points behind with 25, boasting a record of 12-5, 1-0. Wilkes-Barre Scranton Knights, they remain in 4th place at 9-12, 0-0, 18 points. And then the Northeast Generals, still with 1 lonely point at the bottom of the division at 0-16, 1-0. Well, folks, the music has started, the buzzer has sounded, another show in the books this week. Hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you join us next week as I welcome back Coach Mike Letizia, and we talk about the weekend games against the Aston Rebels. Go Tomahawks!